Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to share one of the worst habits that is keeping so many people stuck and making so many people unhappy. And the worst thing is that you're probably doing it. I know I was doing it for a very long time. And so in this video, I want to shed some light onto this, but I also want to share 3 ways that I have used to overcome this and actually live a much more fulfilling life. All right, let's get into it. So I just arrived in Gran Canaria, and when I arrived a week and a half ago, I was getting off this boat. I was coming from a different island, and this random guy walks up to me and asks me where I'm staying. And so I'm a bit skeptical, and so I mean I try to give an evasive answer, but eventually he's like he gets me to say where I'm living, um, and he tells me that the buses has been cancelled, and so in order to get into the city, we have to take a taxi. And he asked me if I want to share the taxi. And so I'm a bit skeptical. I thought we were arriving in the city. Turns out we were arriving about an hour's walk in the north of the island. And so I'm like, okay, I'm still a bit skeptical. Like, what's this guy like? What's the catch here, right? And he tells me a story about how actually he can't order the cab himself because he got banned because he ordered 3 taxis. Like some weird. So I'm like, okay, this is weird, but my internal radar isn't saying danger, danger, danger. So I go there. So we get to the taxi rank, and he's like, actually, there are so many people here. I have an idea. Why don't we just like start walking this way, and we can catch a taxi there. So fairly sound strategy, but I'm like, okay, what's going on here? We start walking, and we're in this industrial zone, and I'm fully expecting to be jumped by some guy and have all my stuff taken away. But actually, turns out he was just a genuine nice guy, and we had a really, really great conversation. We ended up walking the entire time because we were having such a good conversation, and I was telling him about what I did and what he does, and he was a student in business, and he was telling me about how he had so many ideas of what he wanted to do with his life. He had wanted to keep traveling, wanted to start his own business. He already had loads of ideas, but he was completely like divided with this need to please his parents. And he was like, I have, I don't want to disappoint them. And so, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go down the consulting route, and work for one of a big consultancy, and do that route because I really, really want my parents not to be disappointed, and I know they would hate it so much if I did something different. And this kind of blew my mind because it really put into perspective, like for me, it was so clear, like someone living their life for someone else, right? And it kind of blew my mind as to how so many of us do this. And I did this myself, living my life for other people's expectations, living my life to please other people, living my life because of what I'm supposed to, or doing what I'm supposed to do. And I found that crazy that so many of us do this. And obviously it can be explained because we're growing up, we seeked our parents' approval, we wanted to fit in because that's how we felt safe, how we felt loved, and yeah, emotionally safe. But there gets a point where we become adults, and we we actually don't need to be constantly living for others' approval as much anymore. And one thing that I often go back to is this one of the biggest regrets of the dying is living. I wish I had lived a life more true to myself. That's one of the biggest regrets of people dying is that they wish they had been more themselves. They wish they had had the courage to be themselves. So it's such an important topic because so many of us are not living for ourselves. You basically you have a short amount of time between the time you're born and the time you die. We're all going to die, and you want to make the most out of that time. You want to, and you definitely don't want to be living this short time that you're on Earth. You don't want to be living that for other people. So this topic that really, it drives me. It's something that I'm very, very passionate about because I really want to empower as many people as possible to live life true to themselves because one of the worst things I could possibly imagine is arriving on my deathbed and have it being filled with regrets. So I'm going to share three ways that you can get unstuck and stop living your life for other people's expectations. And so the first way is to take the time to identify your values. So if you had nothing to prove, nothing to hide, who would you be? What are your guiding principles in life? What are the things that you genuinely value? Not what your parents value, not what your community values, not what the people around you value. What do you value? What is important for you in life? And when I did this exercise, I discovered that like three of my top values were freedom, adventure, and courage. And all three of them I wasn't really living out in my corporate job when I was working at Google or Uber. And it allowed me to, or it gave me permission to actually start being myself instead of trying to be someone else or fit in into another mold, because it gave me comfort in knowing like this is what I value. These are my commandments in life. And as a result, it allowed me to take action and live more in integrity with who I was, simply because I actually knew who I was. I knew what I represent and what I value. So, take the time to identify your values. And I've actually got a workbook that you can use. I'll add it in the description to make it easier for you. But, this was a real game changer for me. Number two is take the time to create a vision for yourself. But more specifically, a first exercise you can do is describe your ideal, perfect, average day. So imagine it's 20, 30, or let's say 10 years from now, and you're describing your perfect day. So, what time do you get up? What is the first thing you do in the morning? Who do you spend your day with? What are some of the things that you work on? What point do you do your exercise, or whatever it is? Like, really get very descriptive of your perfect average day and what that would look like. And so what this exercise does is that it flushes out what truly matters to you. And that will give you an indication of, what is it that you actually want. And it can help you, with the exercise of building a vision, because a vision is something that pulls you forward. It's something that you can work towards. And when your vision is fully true to who you are and what you want, well, then it's so much easier to not live according to others' expectations, because you'll just notice the discrepancy. You'll notice that, oh, this is actually preventing me from getting the from getting towards the life that I want to live. So, for example, again with me, I had this dream of living by the beach, of yeah, owning a house close to the beach with a garden, with like yeah, what's it called, where I can grow my own veg. I have my chicken, and the weather's nice all the time. And so that was my vision. But if I stayed and was living in a corporate job and had a salary, that would never necessarily be possible, because I would always be attached to the city, or I'd have to live close to where big companies are. And so, you know, it made me realize that if I kept going in that direction, I was not going to go towards um, in the direction that would allow me to build my dream life. And so there was a disconnect there. And so it allowed me to, okay, first of all, identify, why was I even so caught up in working for the big corporate? And that's because, oh, I was living for my parents' expectations. I wanted, my dad to be proud of me, and I wanted to feel that I could say, yes, I work at a big company. I work for Google. I work for Uber. These are things that gave me meaning. But regardless, the point is that once I created this vision for myself, it became very, very clear as to, you know, what's what the direction I needed to take in order to get there. And so if taking the time to identify your vision, to yeah, create what your ideal life will look like, what it looks like, is going to allow you to stop living for others' expectations, because you're going to be drawn towards your own vision, and you're going to be going towards something that truly aligns with you and what you want out of your life. And then the third step, and this is the most uncomfortable one and kind of the most annoying one, maybe for me at the start, it felt really annoying, and that is taking action towards your dream life. And this is where I believe the entirety of life happens. It's facing your fears, it's taking action, and it's on that journey that you will discover so many things about yourself. It's going to uncover the fears, it's going to uncover your worries, it's going to uncover some of your limiting beliefs. It's going to even accentuate this desire for pleasing others, for living according to others' expectations. But that that's actually amazing because it gives you an indication of what you can work on. And so if I think of my journey, uh, from starting my own business, and it flushed out so many things that I needed to work on, and it actually allowed me to address the deeper underlying issues because I discovered what they are. So stuff like, yeah, being terrified of my dad being disappointed of me. And so that was a fear that drove me. And I would never necessarily have truly understood that or had to work through it if I hadn't started taking action towards my goal. And another analogy I like to use is, especially when it comes to thinking about regret, is, am I living my life in the stands or am I living my life in the arena? In the stands, I'm just watching life go by. I'm looking, I'm pointing, I'm judging. Oh, what if? But but in the arena, I'm actually out there. I'm building my own life. I'm designing my own life. I'm falling over. I'm failing, but I'm getting up again. And at the end of my life, I'll know that I lived a full life. And so this step is so crucial because it's it's not about the outcome. It's not about achieving your dream life or your vision. It's really about the person that you become along the way. And going through this process is is just such a life-changing journey. And it's one where you know with absolute certainty that you are living life true to yourself. So, quick recap. One of the habits that is keeping so many people stuck, so many people unhappy, so many people unfulfilled is this habit of living life for other people, living life for other people according to your parents' expectations, society's expectations. And so, one of the best gifts you can give yourself is to start living life true to yourself. Because one of the biggest regrets of the dying is, I wish I had the courage to live a life more true to myself. And the three ways that you can do that is, one, take the time to identify your values, figure out what you truly want, what your guiding principles are. Two, take the time to identify a long-term vision. What does your perfect average day look like? Start realizing what you actually want. What is it? What are the things that at the end of your life you wanna know that, okay, this is what I achieved? Or, what are the things at the end of your life that you don't want to regret not having done? And three, just take action and start taking steps towards that vision, towards that dream life that you created. It's in that journey that all the magic happen, all the gold is, and where you'll learn so much about yourself. And it's one of the best things that you can ever do to yourself for yourself. It's one of the best gifts that you can ever give to yourself. And it's one that will guarantee that at the end of your life, you will know you have lived a full life. So I really hope that you enjoy this video. As always, you can also take the self-confidence test down below if you want to build more self-awareness, um, and around what you can do and what steps you can start taking to live a more fulfilling life. I'll also leave a link for you to sign up for my newsletter. I share weekly self-confidence tips and everything that I'm learning along the way. So wishing you all an amazing day, and as always, much love.